afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being part of our Mission Progressing Together meeting this afternoon. My name is Flor Sanchez. I'm the district parent liaison for the district. Today we're going to have a presentation by Ms. Haynes. She's our Borrego counselor. But before we start our meeting, I want to introduce our parent liaisons from each campus. That way you're more familiar with them. First we have Ms. Portillo. She's our high school parent liaison. Next we have Ms. Ortiz. She's the parent liaison for Alarcon. Next we have Ms. Rebecca. She's the parent liaison for Loya. And we have Ms. Lara Chavez. She's the parent liaison for GEMS. And lastly, we have Ms. Claudia Guerrero Sosa. She's our parent liaison from Zambrano. We're missing Ms. Emma Perez, and she's the parent liaison from Borrego. Next, we have Dr. Mesa Chavez. She's our superintendent for the district, and she'll be sharing some announcements and messages for our parents.
Thank you, Ms. Flor. And just so everyone knows that we are recording, we want to make sure that we get our message out both in English and Spanish. We had our Spanish version this morning, and we're having our PM session today, so we are thankful that we have some of our parent liaisons here, our parents, and then we do have staff here. So if there are any questions, we can get those answered as best we can. Know that this is the space for parents to come in. I make myself available at these meetings, and I also make our staff available so that we can answer and address any questions or concerns that may arise. But we also take compliments, right, staff? We take that too? So with that being said, just so you know, progress reports went out November 12th. So if you've not had that conversation with your son or daughter, please make sure that you do talk to them about their grades. We are having our El Pasoans Fighting Hunger Food Bank, which is going to be held tomorrow. And we have Ms. Parra and Ms. Flor who work really hard, make sure that we get that information out. And then really, really important is we have our San Isario Early College High School applications that are due on Friday. So if you know any 8th graders out there, please encourage them to apply. Really important. And then countdown, it is Tuesday. It feels like Friday though. We do have our Thanksgiving break that is coming up, and that'll be November 22nd through 26th. So we do have Ms. Haynes, who's going to be talking to us about some anti-bullying techniques, things that we can practice. This is all great information for parents to have. And so I'd like to invite Ms. Flor to make the formal introduction for Ms. Haynes.
Next, we have Ms. Haynes. She'll be presenting on discipline and bullying at the schools. She's the counselor from Borrego Elementary.
Thank you. It's nerve-wracking. Doesn't matter how many times you do this, it is nerve-wracking. But thank you for being here, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Rocio Haynes. I'm the counselor at Borrego Elementary, and we are gonna see. I want to present to you something that showcases both sides of the coin, as we usually say, right? And I am going to do the same thing I did this morning. I'm going to take off my mask because I can't breathe, and then my glasses get a little foggy and I can't see. Okay, but when it comes to bullying, we usually tend to focus on the target, on the student, which we should, rightfully so. However, we also want to focus on, what if our child is also bullying other students? What's going on? What are some strategies that we can use as parents to help them both if they are being the target of bullying or if they are doing the bullying? There are things that we can do on both sides of that topic. And we want to start by being informed. Let's going over the definition, and this is the general definition of bullying, but we will go into the definition in the state of Texas because it does differ a little bit. It is a little bit more specific. So when we talk about bullying, it is anything that is physical, social, emotional, that causes distress in a student, in a person. You don't have to be a student, you can be an adult. It could happen in the workplace. And it's usually deliberate action, okay? It's intended to intimidate. It's intended to make somebody feel hurt or feel less than. It's also, and this is where it differs a little bit, because we usually tend to think of bullying as a repeated action. And many times it is, because we need to be careful with that, because it could be one action that makes somebody feel intimidated and be in a hostile environment. And also, and this is one of the key points, is that when we come to the topic of bullying, there's an imbalance of power. Okay, somebody is made to feel, then it doesn't necessarily mean that they are. It's a perceived notion by both the target and the bully. They perceive somebody as weaker than themselves, and then the target tends to start feeling weaker or less than the person who is behaving in an egregious way. Now this is, we have the Texas definition. And in the Texas definition, it does say in the first section, it could be one or more acts. It could fall down into one act when there's an egregious event and there's an imbalance of power, somebody is feeling intimidated. It could be considered bullying depending on the gravity of the situation. Most of the times, like I said, it does become a pattern of behavior, a repeated behavior. In the bully's part, they found somebody that they can intimidate, so many times they tend to repeat that behavior because they found that imbalance, that perceived imbalance of power. Okay? Then, and then it also includes, this is also to include cyberbullying. And in the next slide, it defines cyberbullying as any intimidating, hurtful comments with the use of any type of technical device or electronic device, cell phones, computers, emails also, because sometimes we see them, and of course our very famous social media. I think there are so many platforms out there that I am not even aware of every single one of them, but our students surely are. And so a lot of the times, and more, and as the kiddos get older, we see that the cyberbullying is a little bit more pervasive than with the younger students, because that's where they are. What are your students doing when they get home? They're probably logged into some sort of platform, correct? So we need to be very vigilant. So what are the types of bullying? Okay, we have right here listed the four main ones, which the first one is very obvious. It's physical, it's hurting, it's pushing, it's kicking, anything that is a physical aggression from one person to the other. We also have verbal bullying, and we think about it, it could be yelling, but we see it more in the form of hurtful comments, gossip, things that make somebody, and gossip so that it affects their reputation, and then students are feeling that they don't have a place to fit in because everybody, gossip spreads fast. They feel like everybody knows. And then we have relational bullying, and this is when we see like the exclusion, what we call are the little groups, the little cliques, and somebody is left out, getting other people to hurt. Go and tell them, or it's in a group setting targeted towards a smaller group or an individual. Cyberbullying, again, is when we have the use of social media. And I tried to print some of these out because last time I was like, okay, I couldn't see. So recognizing the signs of bullying, and we want to see why our kiddos sometimes do not speak out for themselves. We do try to empower our students as counselors, as administrators, and we do tell them, use your voice. You have a voice, and I also, I got this from Dr. Phil, don't give your power away. Take your power back, stand up. But many times they don't, they feel afraid. They feel ashamed, like I'm weak. they see me as weak, so they're ashamed, and sometimes they don't want to be perceived as that, and they're trying to hide it. Sometimes they're afraid of retaliation. Sometimes they are threatened, and they said, if you tell somebody, you know what, I am gonna hurt you next time, or I'm gonna take something away next time. A friend, okay? They think that no one can help them, and that this is a psychological phenomenon where we're going through distress. We do tend to feel that we're alone, that nobody's gonna understand. But they need to know, and we always try to tell our students, go tell somebody. If the first person doesn't, you feel like they didn't listen, go tell somebody else. Somebody will listen, but empower them to use their voice. Having a misconception that being bullied is part of growing up. And I know many times, and in the older generations, we used to hear this a lot. Oh, that's the way kids are. But no, nobody should feel intimidated or uncomfortable in their learning environment. They also, if an adult is being the bully, okay, they may think that it's okay. You know, that's the way things are. Because at home, you know, my dad, my brother, my cousin, you know, this is the way we treat each other. So they think, you know what, I can't do anything about it. It's normal. And also thinking that saying something is not cool. I think this is one of the years where at the beginning of the year, we got this a lot. And we're like, guys, what's going on? Because we were hearing about some incidences, but we were also hearing, but you know, they don't want to say anything because we don't want to be a snitch. And I'm like, no, you need to speak up. We can't, this will only get worse if we don't say something. So, if your child could be the victim of bullying. So what are the signs? What can you be looking out for? Okay? So if they don't want to go to school, they're usually pretty good. They like to go to school. They're energetic, and all of a sudden you see changes and you're like, what's going on? We need to be vigilant as parents. Part of our discipline, part of our interaction is to watch for changes in behavior and behavior patterns. They clam up and they don't want to say much when you ask them, how did your day go? And they're like, okay. And they leave, or they try to avoid the subject. We need to also kind of raise an eyebrow and go, let me see. Let's ask a little bit more. They don't want to participate in after-school activities. You know, it is shown that the more they participate, the busier they are, the less trouble they get into. But if we don't know, maybe the bully or somebody that's bothering them is at that activity. You know, ask questions so that we can see. Headaches, seems hungrier. We're lucky that our students, they have the free lunch, however, not always. Sometimes we also see them not getting the snacks that their parents send money for. So we try to kind of also be diligent. We look for patterns of, is that person always getting snacks from someone else or asking for them to buy? You know, parents work very hard for the money that they give their children, and that's where the money should go to. So we do encourage, you know, being giving, but we also encourage, you know, being careful to our students. So headaches, stomach aches, nausea, these are called somatic symptoms. When somebody is in a lot of distress, or they're depressed, they're anxious, our bodies sometimes react physically. So sometimes we tend to think, they don't want to go to school, they're just making it up. We need to be careful with that. Sometimes it could be real. That stress could be causing a stomach ache. It could be causing a headache. So if you see that there's a drastic change and your child is usually healthy and then all of a sudden it's developing some physical symptoms, you know, let's ask a little bit more. Talk to teachers to see if they can also keep an eye. Talk to nurses. Sudden decline in performance and grades, of course. You cannot concentrate if you're in a hostile environment. You're not going to be comfortable. You're not going to be able to concentrate. They show a marked change in behavior. And this is something that it's not usual to your student. Sometimes they get more aggressive at home. Sometimes they become more passive. And you say, well, that kind of contradicts. It's something that's not usual for your child. Something that is completely contradictory to his usual behavior. Okay, and unexplained bruises and injuries, we need to start talking to nurses, teachers, and let's see what's going on. So, now, this is the other side of the coin. What if our students are they're not the targets, but they are being the bullies? What can we be looking out for? Okay, some are behavioral trends and some are model trends that we present to our students. One of them could be lack of empathy, and we need to be careful what we're showing them. Like if somebody falls in a show, and like, do we always laugh, or do we show a little bit of empathy and like, oh gosh, they got a little hurt, if it seems to derive pleasure, or they laugh instead of trying to see, oh, what happened if their little sister falls down, and instead of trying to see, are they okay, they tend to brush it off or just laugh. You need to also just keep an eye out, okay? It could be something that's passing, but it could be something that becomes a trend. Okay, they attack before they are attacked. Somebody who lives in an hostile environment at home and is used to, aggressions, is gonna be on the defensive. And they're gonna try and see, let me get at them first before they get at me. Or, you know what? I have all of this aggression and pent up inside of me because this is my environment at home. I'm gonna, kind of let it out, and it manifests in that form at school. So we need to be careful with that, okay? They have been bullied in the past, of course. Like I said, if there's an imbalance of power, and then they perceive somebody else and they go, you know what? He bullies me, but he's weaker, and it could be unconscious. They don't think about it. It just happens. They just perceive somebody weaker, and they're like, okay, this is what happens, so I'm gonna do it to him. Okay, and they're very concerned with being popular, so they're gonna do anything they can to kind of keep that popularity. If it also means making fun of somebody else to follow that group, to fit in with their group, we need to also just talk to them about treating everybody the same. Seems intolerant and shows with people that are different, and they think they're weird. Like I said this morning, I think everybody in this room would agree with me that we are more similar than we are different. We need to focus on what we are alike and our differences and our strengths instead of focusing, and on our similarities and our strengths instead of focusing on our differences. Okay? And we are going to gain more and learn more from each other that way instead of focusing on the differences. So, likes to tease and then observes you excluding people. What do we do at home? What kind of comments do we make? What kind of jokes? Sometimes we joke and we're like, but these jokes are at the expense of a particular group, or particular differences. Those are things that we are modeling, so we need to be careful as parents. Okay, so on this one, I think I will use if the camera will excuse me for a little bit, because this one's the print is small for me, even my glasses. My eyes are getting old, guys. Okay, so let's talk, what can we do as parents? We need to make sure that we have communication with our kiddos. What are you doing? Show the child a way that when they've done something wrong, okay, what have they done wrong? And most importantly, how can they fix the problem? Give your child ownership of the problem. Help them be responsible. This morning I gave the example of 2 of our students, and I was very, very happy to report to parents that they took ownership, they took responsibility, and they gave me some solutions on how they would change their behavior. So I was like, oh, that was a counselor moment. I had a very good counselor moment that, okay, help your children find solutions. How to talk if you're having issues. How can they talk to their friends? Nurture empathy. Helping, volunteering is one very good way. Demonstrating, modeling empathy. When somebody gets hurt, do we just kind of look away, or do we go help? If we can, that's very important. Teach friendship skills. What is a healthy friendship? What is a healthy relationship with your peers? Engage in entertaining and energizing activities. This morning, and like I said, I do it with my grandbabies. I have 3 grandbabies, and the oldest one, he will go, "Ay, we thought that's so boring." But we do bring out the books. We bring out the board games. I love board games because they show them. In that, we show them how to problem solve. In that, we show them a little bit of patience, and we also engage in conversation. Okay, so closely monitor technology. You are your child's guardian. You need to be vigilant. There are many more people out there that will gladly influence your child. Let's be the first influencers in our children's lives. So, because a lot of times we do hear, "Oh, yeah, I want to give him his space and his privacy." They are still growing. They are still developing, and they are still learning. Okay, so and watch for signs of ways that we may unknowingly and not wanting to, we're encouraging some of these behaviors. These are some websites that, and they're by grade levels: preschool, elementary, middle school, and high school. There's a lot. You do the research, and you are going to find a lot of resources and different activities where you can help your child grow as an individual in a more positive environment. Okay, and right here, this one: don't worry that your child never listens to you. Worry that your child's always watching. So let's be very careful what we model and what we do, because sometimes that actions speak louder than words. Here is just the different things that you can do to help your child if you do fear that they are a victim or a target of bullying. Instill in them positive self-esteem. Teach them to be assertive and respectful. That's what we try and teach. Use your voice. Be respectful, but use your voice. Okay? Teach your child to learn from their mistakes. Have them learn positive talk. Positive talk is talking to yourself and saying, "You know what? I can do this. I'm strong." We kind of teach, and there was a campaign for a while that said, to teach our girls, "I'm powerful, I'm beautiful, I'm strong." You know what? We need to teach all of them. We need to teach all of our students that they are strong, they are beautiful, they are worthy, and they matter, and they can overcome. Okay? Provide specific praise. Help them learn from their mistakes. And when I talk about specific praise, it's just don't say, "Oh, good job, great job, you did it." No, what did they do right? They helped their little sister, little brother. They, teacher gave them a good note. What did the note say? It wasn't, "Oh, you had a great day, yay." No, "Good job, mijo, thank you for helping me, when I was tired and you helped me clean." Something specific, and also, again, talk about friendship skills. Bystanders, help them not be a bystander. Help them be an upstander. That's what we call them. If they see somebody that is being targeted, help them find a way to get them out of that situation. Help them help a target, somebody that's being targeted. "You know what, the teacher wanted to talk to you. Come on," and they remove them from the hostile situation. We're trying to teach our students to be upstanders, not bystanders. Once again, we can also help them. Further techniques is help them role play. How, if this happens to you, what are you gonna say? There's earlier somebody jokingly, of course, said, "Oh, I'm going to tell them to say something back to them." Well, yeah, but something positive, something that makes them, and something to help them say, "Be assertive. Stop this. I don't like this. You're making me feel uncomfortable." Always respond evenly and firmly. Teach your child to act brave. Assert by standing tall and using a strong voice. You know how in the animal kingdom they say, if you're fear you're being attacked, you stand tall? It works. Not just, it works anywhere. Okay? And then sometimes you agree and you say, "Yeah, sure, whatever," and you ignore it. So what can you do? As parents, we ask you to get involved. Thank you for coming. Come to the meetings. Volunteer. Be present. And finally, provide some constructive feedback. We're always welcoming comments, suggestions. You know, if you guys tell us, we are always willing to grow. So get involved. Talk to your teachers, talk to the staff. So, and at this point, it's not clicking. Well, any questions? Because it's not clicking. Yeah, there you go. Are there any questions? All right, that is all for me. Thank you very much for being such a wonderful audience. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haynes. I want to take the time to thank Ms. Aguirre for coming and assisting our presentation. Do you have any questions for us, Ms. Or for Ms. Haynes, Ms. Aguirre, regarding the presentation? Also on your tablet, there's a little white index card. You don't have one? Okay, let me get you one. On that index card, if you have any questions or comments to ask that our superintendent or our leadership personnel, you're more than welcome to do it on the index card.
All right. You get our undivided attention, so isn't that cool, don't you think? and I mean, and we'll be here afterwards if you have any questions. But do you have any comments or any questions in particular? We have staff here, myself, that we can help you. All right, very good. So she gets a thumbs up. Another round of applause for Ms. Haynes. Awesome job. All right, and so as promised, these meetings are being recorded. We want to make sure that we send out the information both in English. We had that meeting just right now, and then we also had the Spanish version, which we had this morning. And so that is our job here in the district, is to make sure that we are informing our parents. And so we thank you for making time to be here, and we'll see you at our next Progressing Together meeting. Thank you.